This is the worst place on earth.
I know, right? So many good memories.
Oh, my life is great!
Is that Chow?
Oh my God, you guys!
You ready to do this?
Yeah. Wait, what are we doing?
Holy! Oh, God.
Hector, grab a pair of sweatpants for Ellen here.
I'm a 44 Slim. Can you bring me a few options?
Hello, I'm the Universal Critic. I talk about whatever I want, whenever I want. Today I take on The Hangover Part 3, the third and supposedly final film in the series, which is probably a good thing. The best way to discuss a sequel in a series is to start with your feelings on the other films. Like most of the world, I loved the original Hangover. In fact, I'd call it one of the funniest movies I had seen in years at that point. It was original, it was energized, and the interactions between the characters were hilarious, so it was almost impossible for me not to love it. So when they announced The Hangover Part 2, I was excited and hoped they would recapture the same magic they made that made the original a success. Oh, how naive I was back then. Yeah, The Hangover 2 is nothing more than a darker and more disgusting clone of the original. And it's not that I don't like dark comedies or gross-out comedies, it's just that Part 2 just took every single thing about the original film and did slightly differently in a different location. Oh, and they also made it more disgusting, which doesn't always translate out to funnier, it just makes it gross. And really, did the original even need a sequel? I'm not so sure it did, but so as you could imagine, but still, it made it money, so they made a third film. So as you can imagine, I was less than thrilled when I heard they were making the third one, and upon seeing it, I can say that it's okay. It's nowhere near as good as the original, but it's still somewhat of an improvement over the second film. The best thing about this movie is that it attempted to do something different. Surprisingly, there's no bachelor party or actual hangover in this film. Instead, we get a road trip movie crossed with an action thriller, which many will probably see as out of place in a hangover movie, but for what it is, it's fairly enjoyable. In addition, this film actually continues some of the story elements from the first film, making it at least somewhat more warranted than the second film. Let's talk about the characters. All the main stars from the first two films are back, and they all turn in decent performances with what they're given, but most just really aren't given a whole lot of new material to work with. Hardest hit by this is Doug, still played by Justin Bartha, who, spoilers, is not in most of the movie. Shocker. Really. Ed Helms returns as Stu, and Bradley Cooper is back as Phil, and they both are still rather funny, but none of them really change. While Stu is less uptight than he was in the first two films, and Phil is less of a dick, nothing is really added to their characters. Remember how I said this continued story elements from the first film? Well, Heather Graham returns as the hooker from the first film, and even the baby returns, now a toddler, played by the same actor, but really neither of them really serve much of a purpose. The standout among the returning cast is Zach Galifianakis as Alan, who is actually given some new development, with him going through something of a coming-of-age story, which is nice, but is still played a little too seriously at times, and it's just not funny enough. Hands down, the funniest characters in the movie are John Goodman as the villain, Marshall, and Ken Jeong as Mr. Chow. Goodman delivers a nice, smart guy surrounded by idiots persona, while Jeong is just as crazy as ever, if not more so because he's given far more screen time than he had in either of the first two films. Overall, Hangover 3 is only mildly funny and easily the darkest of the three, but it at least attempted to go in a new direction, which is more than I can say for the rehashed waste of time that was Hangover Part 2. P.S. Make sure to stay for the credits, it has to be the funniest scene in the movie, which is a little sad admittedly, but it's worth it. I'm the Universal Critic, I talk about whatever I want, whenever I want, goodbye.